In this episode of the Fanzone Podcast, we discuss our predictions coming up for the 2026 Castle Premier Soccer League season. It appears that Scotland and Hardrock, we think, are the ones most likely to lift the title, while Triangle and Agama are the ones most likely to get relegated. We also discuss a misunderstanding between the Northern Region and ZIFA. Northern Region releasing their fixtures to kick off on the 28th of February, but just 2 days before kickoff, ZIFA announcing that they were not told and there was no officiating and referees, so postponement of the match day one kickoff happened. How will this break down the relationship, and will they be able to resolve this issue between these two sides? It's a farewell to the Chevrons as they end their Super 8 campaign in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. The first time we've ever made it this far in the World Cup group stages in the T20 World Cup. And after 3 losses, 3 heavy defeats in the Super 8s, we still believe that the Chevrons played the best cricket we have watched, and there's still so many highlights coming out of that show. So enjoy this and all more to discuss in episode 42.
Fanzone, united by the game, powered by Moore's World of Sport.
Welcome to the Fanzone Podcast, your number one Zimbabwean sports show, giving you updates, analysis, and insights. My name is Sips.
And I'm Steve Vickers, and it's here, the brand new Castle Premier Soccer League season kicking off this weekend after the excitement of Sunday's Castle Challenge Cup. Rick Ross, the boss, watching the game in the VIP section at Rufaro Stadium as Scotland were simply devastating against Dynamos. We're going to be looking ahead to the new season, giving our predictions as well as to who might be lifting the trophy come November. And as well as that, we'll talk about the Chevrons, who've done so well also at the ICC T20 Cricket World Cup. And joining us on the show today is welcome back to Star FM sportscaster Simba Chiminya.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Good to have you with us. Division 1 as well, some controversy over the weekend.
Yes, indeed, a false start, but I will delve into it later. But this is not the start that we had wanted.
Yeah, so it didn't kick off this past weekend, Sips.
Yeah, so lots of things that didn't kick off this weekend and not so great start. But a tournament and campaign that ended decently for the Mighty Warriors in the CASAFA Women's Championship. 4th overall. Last week they made it through to the semis where they played the South Africa women's team, lost out in penalties, and then played Zambia on Sunday in the bronze medal game, and we lost out on that. So again, 2 losses at the end of the tournament, but Simba was still a pretty good show, and the fact that we got out of the group stages as well.
Yes, indeed, especially when we had the concerns about the match fitness. We are coming off the off-season, and even the coach was lamenting that. But I like the character that they showed in the other 2 games against Zambia, and also getting into the knockout stages. Against South Africa, it was a lottery penalties, and we got to lose that game. But you know, had it not been that defeat, probably we could have moved on to the final. But also losing the bronze match was not really good, but all the same, overall, the performance, you'd say a positive performance from the ladies. Yes, they might have wanted, particularly the fact that Namibia went on to beat South Africa. You're just cringing and saying we could have done well, because this is South Africa that has been beaten by Namibia, and also considering that they were the second string South African side. But overall, I would say a good performance from the Mighty Warriors, even though we wanted to win. And also congratulations to Rutendo Makore for winning the Golden Boot.
Yeah, 3 goals for Rutendo Makore. At the age of 32, still top of her game. That was good going. It was a second string South Africa at best, actually, so we probably could have got past them if it wasn't for the match fitness issue, and Namibia winning it. That was a big surprise, but it just shows if things are clicking in women's football, you can make a rapid rise and be a big force. But overall, that was a good outing from the Mighty Warriors.
Yeah, and what do you think of the coach Sitalelwe at the helm? She did a good job managing to bring the woman up to scratch before the tournament.
Yeah, she's been there giving us stability, been there for quite a while, so she knows all the players. I think the selection was okay. Cynthia Shonga in goal, really good, not conceding in the group stage, but then not able to maintain that. But from that to coaching perspective, no complaints.
All right, and so well done to our Mighty Warriors, 4th overall in the CASAFA Women's Championship. And a big surprise that Namibia ended up beating South Africa in the final, as says Steve. An even bigger surprise was the weekend result between Scotland and Dynamos in the Castle Challenge Cup. 5-0 Simba. It was mayhem at Trafalgar Stadium.
Yeah, when we were previewing the match last weekend, I never imagined that we were going to witness 5 goals. And with Dynamos without replying. They didn't offer resistance in the second half. I think when you look at it in the first half, yes, of course, Scotland were the better side, and also even pretty going to the game, they were the favourites, and they showed it the way that they had possession and the mobility in the midfield. But Dynamos also gave it to Scotland in the first half in the manner that they conceded the first 2 goals. And for Dynamos, the defence was not there. The defensive linkman and the defensive midfield was also not really there, and they managed to give Scotland so much space. And if you look at the chances that fell to Timon Machope, one hit the upright, he missed another sitter, and going into the second half, we could have seen maybe at least 3-0, 4-0 or 5-0 for Scotland. So it was because of that Dynamos defense. But you could get some glimpses from them going forward, because the moments that they had some chances, and the one that fell to witness Xavi that kissed the crossbar, and also 1 or 2 chances that they got, and Lirio Mavunga and Xavi, going forward they're really good. They gave some hope to Dynamos, but then tracking back, they were poor because they could not track back and exerted more pressure on an already fragile defense. So that was the weakness for Dynamos. And then coming back into the second half, they didn't return, because you could see that in the second half, Dynamos were anonymous, they were not there, and it shows you something about the technical abilities of Nomene Mapeza, how good he is in terms of reading the game, because the way that his midfield dominated play, and you could see the mobility that are there in the midfield going forward, and the telepathy, the understanding that you could see from Walter Msona and Timon Machope. Season together at Simba Bora, and then last season together at Scotland, and this year you could tell that they are getting to understand each other. And then you have Knowledge Msona within the mix, his football intelligence, the experience that he has, and then you have Ntokozi Zimsebe, kind of a quiet player but very effective. His runs on and off the ball were very effective for Scotland. And if you see a team that when you see their bench, it's almost better than the starting 11, you can tell that Scotland really mean business this year. Because if you have Shidolo on the bench, Kamabiliat on the bench, Mafia Stewart on the bench, and there are a lot of players that were on the bench that you would think could start. But then you ask yourself, who are they going to take out?
Yeah, Kingsley Muraremba also didn't get to play on Sunday. He was an unused sub. Albert Manenji was a mainstay last season. He didn't get to start. God knows Murwira, he came off the bench. When I saw that team sheet for Scotland, I was blown away, because, like Simba says, that the players on the bench would be better than the starting 11 of most of the teams in the PSL this season, I would think. So they've got to be the favourites to win the title, even with the rigours of the CAF Champions League. The squad depth there could carry them through. Knowledge Musona, absolutely outstanding. He's still got the class at the age of 35. Nathan Mutasa came off the bench. Delightful assist for the last goal that Kamabiliat converted right at the end of the game. So Scotland look very, very strong indeed. For Dynamos, missing Emmanuel Jalai, no doubt that right back position was a real disaster for them on Sunday. How can they replace him? I don't know, because he was such a key player. Couple of players from Triangle. Witness Xavi looks promising. Elton Gini was the number 9, replaced by Jairos Kassondo in the closing stages, but nowhere near the class, the quality of what Scotland have got. So there were players not registered yet. Stanley Billiot, the Malawian forward, so it wasn't totally full strength Dynamos. But you can't put them among the front runners for the title this season. The massive crowd, it was fantastic, 15,000 plus. I think the Vietnam stand was 90% full, so if it's going to carry on like this, it'll be great, although the Dynamo's fans will want to see results. But there were loads of Scotland fans. The City End stand was really full with the Scotland supporters as well, so it's setting the scene for an exciting season. Let's hope that the fans continue to come. Yeah. And Rick Ross was there. He was sitting like 5 meters from us in the commentary box in the VIP. People were paying $4,000 at the Hippodrome for a table close to Rick Ross for the performance on Saturday night. So having him there was amazing. Actually quite interesting because Rufaro can't really host that high-end kind of football, and it's something maybe that we need to look at, is having more corporate hospitality, those boxes where you can have your high rollers coming to watch football, because it wasn't really up to hosting someone like Rick Ross, but having him there, it was a great occasion, Sips.
Yeah, it seemed like it. And Simba, you mentioned that deep squad depth that Scotland have. Last season, they signed on the youngster Tadiwa Chakuchichi, who then also went on to play for the Warriors in the AFCON. This season round, with the Scotland bolstering up their squad, will we see more or less of Tadiwa, do you think?
I think he's going to play. I think all the players, the fact that Nomino Mapeza retained him in the squad shows that he's got faith in him and is going to allow him to play. What is left is for him to fight for the jersey, because you look at the players that they have, almost everyone will be fighting for the jersey. And one thing about when you have so many senior players in a team, they will tell you that it will be like a money game always, because when you are playing for a team that pays so much, and when you are playing for a team that has got an owner who is easily excitable, you know that winning bonuses can be increased anytime. So those players will fight to win every match, particularly high-profile games, because they know that if you beat Dynamos, the owner will be excited. On top of your agreed winning bonuses, you get more. So for the youngsters, they really need to fight, because the seniors will always want to fight to be the one starting because of the winning bonuses.
Yeah, so that 5-0 win over Dynamo is definitely a big surprise for us. But as we head into match day 1 this weekend, Steve, what are your predictions for the top 4 at the end of the season?
Yeah, high quality football we're going to see this season, I think, based on what we saw on Sunday. For me, it's got to be Scotland number 1. Norman Mapeza already, we could see that he's stamping his own style on the team. High possession statistic for Scotland, and very sharp on those breaks, like Simba was saying. That link up between Walter Musona and Taiman Machopi was really effective. So number 1 for me is Scotland. Hardrock is number 2. Brand new team, almost like the Scotland of last year. Massive signings for them as well. Kelvin Kaindu coaching. What a stadium they've got as well, Chawanda Stadium. So that's a venue where they can expect to win most of their games. I don't know about the season opener against Scotland this weekend, though, because that's what a way to start the season. And the title won't be decided on match day 1, but if there is a winner there, that'll be a big statement of intent. So I would take Hardrock for my number 2. CAPS United, I like the way they're looking. Of the established teams, I can't really rate Dynamos, probably even Highlanders for top 4 contenders. I could be wrong. It would be great to see Highlanders doing well in their centenary year, but when I saw the quality of players that Scotland have got, that as a benchmark, wow, it's really going to be tough for those other teams. CAPS, though, of the established giants, I like the way that they're shaping up. It's almost like a whole new project with a new coach and with so many new players there. Takes your Chiragui with the boys there, but I think they might do well. Let me go for number 4, one of the teams with stability, maybe Moors, maybe Chicken Inn, Tonderai Ndaraya there, aiming to win the title 3 years in a row with 3 different clubs, although I'm not sure if he's got the players at this stage to go that high, so I'll say Moors for number 4 for me.
Interesting. What about for you, Simba?
Yeah, I agree with Steve on Scotland. I think the depth is too much, and the experience also. And, when you have got so many international players within your team, players that can change the complexion of the game without even the input of the coach, it tells you something. But then when you've got a coach like Norman Mapeza, when you just look at that squad, I would say that for me they are number one. And also when it comes to incentives, a lot of things happen in the second half of the season, and players would also need to be incentivized, and they've got that capacity. And then you have, I'll put CAPS United on number 2, judging by the players on paper, because they've got so many experienced players, and those players have been on the podium before. They've won something. Most of the players that were there at Ngezi Platinum Stars, and they know how it is, fighting for the title. And the acquisition that also came their way, the experienced players, the likes of Lloyd Njaliwa from Malawi, Chawananga Kawonga from Malawi as well. And Obrio Chirinda, for me, is a good signing in terms of strike force. Takunda Benura, a Golden Boot winner 2023. And you also have Richard Dachiro, one of the most underrated midfielders in terms of holding. So that one is a good squad on paper, if they can really take, because just look at combination, Richard Dachiro in the Tanaga Shandira in there, and then you have got Kunde Benyu also in there, Lloyd Njaliwa, like I said, in there. These are the players that can even give you something going forward, and also in terms of defense. So I'll give CAPS United number 2, the tussle between CAPS and Scotland. And on my number 3, I'll put Hardrock. And one good thing about teams that will be having their own stadium in their own locality, it gives them that liberty, that most clubs don't have. The beliefs with our teams, sharing a dressing room, psychologically gets to affect most of our teams. But when you have your own dressing room, you've got that confidence. And a lot of things also happen at your home ground. So for me, when you have got your own home ground, you have one advantage more than other teams. And, most of the games will be derbies in Harare. And for them, they will just have to travel to other cities. And those matches will not be really difficult when they are playing at home. So that's another plus for them. Without looking at even at the signings, they've tried to sign quite a number of good players. And when you look at Wilfred Madzungu, yes, people will talk about the soccer star of the year, Washington Avaya, but this year I'm tipping Wilfred Madzungu to be probably the Golden Boot winner this year. Because if you look at the goals that he scored for Shesham, yes, it was in Division 1, the Central Region, but 25 goals. And you look at the strikers from all the other regions, they could not go beyond the 20-goal mark. And even the Premier League, the top strikers, and looking at age is still on his side. There's also Andrew Piri in terms of offering support, experienced striker as well. And you have Washington Avaya in the mix. So Hardrock for me, number 3. Moz, as they have their joker. Nobody's been talking about them. You don't know the players that are within their team. And they surprised many last year. And this year, they can be there. But, difficult way to place FC Platinum and Simba Bora. Because for me, those are the 2 dark horses, and they're going to surprise many. For Simba Bora, we were talking about their team last year, that they managed to build a much stronger side than the one that won them the title. And unfortunately, because of the Champions League and other things, they could not win the title last year. But when you look at the team that they've assembled this year, those Namibian guys, the guys from Malawi, and the players that they have from local league, if they had the luxury to see off other players go to other teams, it shows you that they are really good in terms of bringing in players that are of quality. And then FC Platinum again, they didn't lose many players. There's an element of continuity, and the ones that they got, the likes of Paipi, the likes of Manfred, the goalkeeper from Malawi. Paipi is from Malawi, and then the goalkeeper from Cameroon. He was also part of the Cameroon national team at the the African under-17, and also going to the under-17 World Cup. So much experience from him. So watch out for Simba Bora and FC Platinum. They are the dark horses.
That's convincing. So we all seem to be very confident in Scotland Hardrock. So I'll put Scotland at my top, Hardrock in second, CAPS in third. I'm still not quite sure who will finish fourth. But But from the debutants, Hardrock is definitely a favourite. But what about for you, Steve? Agama, Bulai Chiefs, FC Hunters. How do you think this season will fare?
Agama haven't made many signings. I think they're likely to suffer for that. That's very risky, although we saw Moores doing exceptionally well last season, not having that many big new signings. But Agama, Northern region, normally survive, but I'm not that hopeful for them. Hunters, or Mombe Wayora, in disguise, maybe. If it was just Hunters, then I would have thought they would go straight back as Eastern Region champions, but I think they're going to have some bit of financial muscle there with that partnership, so they could survive. Bulai Chiefs, we love them, the kings of social media, but it could be shaky for them. Got to be considered as relegation contenders of those newcomers, and of course Hardrock. Well, debut season, big title chances.
Okay, so for you, Agama and Bulai Chiefs are the most likely, at most risk of relegation.
Yeah, I think Triangle not looking very good as well, having lost their coach Genesis Mangombe. Remember, they were bottom when he took over about a third of the way into last season, losing some good players as well that he's taken with him. And then maybe one of the established teams, maybe ZPC Kariba or Manika Diamonds, depends how they start the season, how morale is with them. ZPC were fairly comfortable mid-table, but I tip them maybe to be at risk of relegation.
Yeah. And from those 4 debutants, Simba, what are you thinking for each of their seasons?
Yeah, I think every season at the start, it's always about the teams that will be coming into the Premier League that you'd say are going to be relegated. But I think this time around, it's more the teams that were there that are really in danger. Manika Diamonds, Triangle, ZPC Kariba. Yeah, I think one of the teams that were in the league. Yeah, maybe Agama, maybe not. Because as long as they've got money, they'll find a way to survive. And, they signed Newman Piliso, one of the most, the brightest prospects from Eswatini right now. He's a good right back, captain of the national under-20 team. And they have assembled a decent squad. So, like Steve said, Northern Region teams really gets relegated, especially those that are owned by individuals. The ones that get relegated are those that are owned by corporates or the government-owned teams. But the individually owned teams tend to survive when there is money. So Agama might end up surviving. But Bulai Chiefs, it seems like when a turbulent hits, they hit the bottom rock. They go down. They will be giving you something in terms of exciting players, but then at the end of the day, when money is not flowing in, they tend to sink. So that's the challenge with the Bulai Chiefs. But right now, in terms of players, I think they've got the players that have got the experience to stay in the Premier League. The likes of Marvin Mkolo retained there, Diego Msiwa is also there, and Brian Musa moved from Chicken in there, Melika Ngube from Highlanders to Bulai Chiefs. They have got experienced players, but I don't know what really happens with them, but as long as the funding is there for them this year, they will survive. The teams that I'm afraid of are the teams that don't have much funding. Triangle, ZPC, Kariba, even Manika Diamonds.
Well, these are the opinions of Simba and Steve. Remember, you can put yours down in the comment section below. And as we head into match day 1, the time for talking and conversing is done. And time to start predicting. And our predictor is coming back this season. So make sure you follow us on our social media handles, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, our WhatsApp channel. Make sure you stay up to date. This year's prizes for the leaderboard. For the leaderboard, first place is a Suzuki Eco. Second place, an RGR 200cc 3-wheel motorbike. Third place, a 5 kVA generator. And then in the sweepstake prizes, those ones which you win at random. First place is a Suzuki Carry. Second, an RGR 150cc motorbike. And then in third, a 5 kVA generator. So, Steve, I remember last season round you were kicking yourself because you didn't start on time.
Yes.
You're going to be on time this year.
Yes, I'm going to set reminders. I don't want to miss a single deadline this season. Consistency pays, obviously, if you want to do well in the Predictor. Make sure you get your predictions in every single week. At this stage of the season, tip from me, expect low-scoring games. Remember, early stages last season, a lot of goalless draws, a lot of 1-0s. So it's not that exciting when you're predicting low-scoring games. I know you want to come in and predict big victories for your favourite team, but that's going to be my strategy in the early weeks, is to go for low-scoring predictions.
And then judging off the game on Sunday, it's most likely, Simba, when you do get your predicting in the first sort of 4 or 5 match stage, you're most likely going to be putting your joker on the Scotland game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and just judging by the number of goals that they scored, and it was a warm-up that their top players needed. Kama Billiard on the score sheet coming off the bench, Knowledge Msena scoring from range, and you have Timon Machope getting to score, and Emmanuel Zocha in his debut getting to score as well, and Walt Thompson again. So these are the players that you look at and say, if these guys have got that confidence, they've really warmed up, then you're assured of goals, especially Timon Machope. Look at the chances that he failed to convert, and the one that hit the upright, and you could tell that we are going to witness a lot of goals, especially teams that also have got mobility within their midfield.
So yes, guys, Predictor will be starting this weekend. Just a couple of quick tips. If you played last year's Predictor, you do not need to sign up again or create a new account. All you have to do is just get to the first match day and play on from there. This year around, we will not be accepting any duplicates. So if you already have 2 accounts, you're not allowed. You're only allowed to have 1 account and one predicting username. So please also be very cautious of that. So we look forward to the PSL, which is kicking off this weekend. And last weekend, Northern Region was supposed to kick off, but a disagreement and a dispute between the Northern Region and ZIFA happened. Simba, what went wrong and who is to blame for the delayed kickoff?
Yeah, I think nobody wants to take the blame for that because the fixtures were out and everything seemed like set for the Northern Region, and there were no referees, and ZIFA said the referees were going for that pre-season refresher course, and that's the reason why the games could not start. But right now, the game's going to play this weekend. We don't know, but again, I think for me, having the referees going for this course when we are about to start the season, I don't know, maybe it's their normal, but I thought it's something that could have been done weeks earlier. And you know why some of these leagues want to start early is because when you've got players in the first division, most of them will also be going to work. You see, that's where you find most of the teams owned by mines or by corporates, and some of the workers will also be doubling as the players. And we have a situation whereby if you want to stagger your games and play during the midweek, it will be difficult because some of the guys will be at work. So that's probably the reason why that the Northern Region wanted to start a little bit earlier. It happened last year when in the Central Region when Hardrock played against Gokwe North, and about 6 or so players from Gokwe North were teachers, and it was a midweek game. They could not attend that midweek game, and they had to field in some of their fringe players, and the team lost heavily. And at the end of the day, we had noise, people thinking that that match was manipulated, but it's because of these things. So at times in Division 1, you'd not want to congest your games.
But there's a history of ZIFA providing or not providing referees for PSL games as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think it was a situation of things not being planned accordingly, and probably just caught them off guard that the Northern Region released their fixtures and wanted to start early, but ZIFA, in terms of the referees, were not ready.
Wow.
So it was a miscommunication really between the two sides. Should ZIFA have come up early and said, hey, look, we're not ready, or what should have happened, Simba?
I think even in terms of communication, yes, we communicate via emails, but I think, in fact, when people also get to do follow-ups and say, we want to start our league on a particular day, and then the communication will come, say, no, we don't have referees on that particular day. And I think it could have helped, because I understand right now they are now communicating without using emails, without going through the media, and they are now talking, the Northern Region and ZIFA, to try and come up with an amicable solution that doesn't tarnish the image of both associations, and in trying to diffuse probably the tension that could have built before, or that could potentially have built out of these fixtures, or that issue of the games that were cancelled.
So we'll see how the Northern Region, how that season plays out, when it will start. Will they start this weekend? More to come from that story. And we had last week, in one of the episodes before, we had a player, the captain, Blessing Moya from Zimbabwe, and the Secretary General, Tara Jani, also from Zimbabwe FC, on the Fanzone Podcast. So you can watch that episode after this one. Link will be in the bio. But it seems that after a bit of back and forth, Ishe Nesu Mauchi was going to go down south, but then he didn't. Then he was back in Zimbabwe camp. It was announced last week that he has signed for Cheaper United. So it seems that something eventually did come into fruition, Simba. What was the story behind the sort of back and forth, and why Ishe was in camp and not in camp?
No, Ishe was always a wanted man in South Africa. There are a number of teams that really wanted him, and one of the top teams at that time was the TX Galaxy. And that's the reason why he went to South Africa and negotiated, and then things didn't really come out, because TX Galaxy, when he went, they thought that ban was removed, because TX Galaxy has got a ban from FIFA for contravening some of the regulations. And so when they called him, they thought that ban had been lifted and negotiated. But then when he saw that the ban is still there, there was no need for him to sign. And if actually it was not going to happen that he was going to sign for them when they had that FIFA ban, so he had to come back. But then there were other clubs that were also eyeing him, quite a number. There was Sekukune, there was Stellenbosch, and Cheaper United. So he just went there. And, as a player, when you're not really desperate, you want to look at the environment that really suits you. Because some of the players, when they sign for the foreign clubs, they sign out of desperation. You have a club that comes that says, we want to sign you, and then you just put pen to paper. But for him, it was analyzing, seeing the conditions, seeing the environment of, the team that really suits him well. And, you go to a club that you look at their ambition, you look even their squad, and say, am I going to fit in there? So that's the reason why he would come back and forth. But he had the luxury to choose the team that he really wanted to join, because he was not coming from a desperate point of view.
And so Zimbabwe have lost on one of their defenders, and Zimbabwe, you said, Steve, could be a dark horse in the PSL. However, we've just seen with Dynamos, with losing in July, and Isaka Mohammed, two of their defenders, they really struggle. So could we see a sort of a copy and paste for Zimbabwe?
Yeah, well, there's Webster Taffa, there's some continuity there. Probably they'll be okay, but he's been such a star in the last couple of seasons. Interesting too, if you've got the height, it makes you much more marketable to get a move outside of the country, one of the tallest players in the league. But I think Zimbabwe can just about handle it.
Yeah, I think it's because Zimbabwe, when they signed Lawrence Chazia from Malawi, and then Kenneth, that defender from Namibia, they had that in mind. They knew that they were not going to retain Ishe Mauchi. If they retained him, it was going to be a luxury. But, on that position, they still have so many people. 4 defenders in that position, central defensive, because Webster Taffa is there. Carlos Mavurume is now back after that injury last year, and he has been doing well in off-season. So I think they've got 4 central defenders. So even if Mauchi was there, he was going to fight for his place. So the leadership at Zimbabwe really knew that Mauchi was not going to stay this year.
Oh, okay. Well, so much to look forward to as we head into the first kickoff of this weekend, a late international signing of Ishe Mawichi to Chupa United. And in the rugby scene, we've also had some international signings. 5 of our Sables rugby players going overseas. Dion Kumalo to Brazil, and 4 other players to South Korea, being Dylan Utete, Jeff Makoni, Trevor Gurwe, and Brandon Mudzekenedzi, who are going to South Korea. So, Steve, this is obviously a clear sign of the ZRU, the Zimbabwe Rugby Union, Pete Bernardi, doing their due diligence as we head into the Nation Series and to bolster up a squad capable of competing at a World Cup in 2027.
Yeah, excited for Dion. He was here on Fanzone last year. For all of them, though, it's going to be such great experience. They're going to learn a lot through the travelling, through the programmes there that they're going to have. South Korea, yeah, they've certainly grown a bit, and it's just good, and also it's good. It's a long road to the World Cup next year, so it's a long time to prepare, and it's great that we're making use of that available time to develop the players.
Yeah, as you said, Steve, we had Dion on the show, and we asked him, hey, is anything going on? Will you be likely to play internationally?
Yes.
At that time, there was nothing really happening for him. He was looking forward to the Grid Cup, or they were playing the Grid Cup at that time. So it's good to see, some of these things coming into fruition down the line. But Simba, for you, in our Warriors squad, there are plenty of international signings. Do you think this will also help the Sables this year?
Yeah, definitely, Sips, because there's nothing that really helps a person grow than exposure. Because the more you're exposed, the more you also learn how things are done. And looking at these players, the more they go to these other clubs, it helps them, and in the end, the national team benefits. So I think it's really good for us going into the games, international games this year, and also next year's World Cup.
Yeah, and it's going to be good as well, because all of these signings will now become rugby professionals rather than like professional amateurs, which is also very good. Yeah. Our Chevrons had some would say disappointing, a couple of losses in the Super 8s, but remember the first time our Chevrons made it to the Super 8s in the ICC T20 Men's World Cup. 3 out of 3 losses. We did say it was going to be tough for Steve, but again, there was still some really good highlights. Raza scoring a 50 against South Africa, taking 3 wickets. Brian Bennett 97, unbeaten against a full-strength India. There's so many highlights to take away from this campaign.
Yes, there are. I know people might feel a bit disappointed that we didn't win any games in the Super 8 stage, but we are number 8 in the world. What more could we ask for? Going into that tournament, we would not have believed that. So it was fantastic. We had that great run through the group stage. We played with confidence, but it was going to stop at some point, wasn't it? So in the end, it did. Those heavy defeats to West Indies and to India, and I think we bowed out pretty gallantly against South Africa. Yeah. Brian Bennett, wow. How I wish he could have got a century there. 97 in that game, just running out of balls to face in the end. I heard from Godwin Mamio, one of those 5 super fans who was sent by Castle Lager to India for the Super 8s. And he was saying there was great respect shown inside the stadium to Brian Bennett. And doing that in India, well, could be a place in the Indian Premier League for Bennett. So it's been an amazing tournament for him. Raza, that all-round performance against South Africa, tremendous. Zimbabwe very much put on the map to cricket fans all around the world there. And it might have hurt, those hefty defeats to West Indies and India. It might have hurt, but it was going to happen at some stage. Absolutely brilliant. We were 5th in the 50 over World Cup in 1999, where there was a Super 6 rather than a Super 8. We didn't win any games there in the Super 6 stage either, so we haven't yet managed to win a game in the final stage at a World Cup, but to have got that far is absolutely fantastic. It's memorable. The Chevrons have done us so proud. I'll say it again, number 8 in the world.
In the world. I think you mentioned an important word there, Steve, as they were playing with confidence. I think after this tournament, the Chevrons, they would have got their confidence back. Remember last year, June, July, when you hosted that T20 triangular with South Africa and New Zealand, all of them were losses, or was quite tough outings. But I think now this will, give them the motivation they need going into the rest of the 2026.
Yes, I think it will, because the spirit that they had and just the way they executed some of those games, let's hope that they can continue from there going forward, because it'll lead to better fixtures for us. More series will be lined up as a result of this, hopefully.
Yeah, Simba, were you expecting the Chevrons to get to the final 8 in the T20 World Cup?
I was confident, but to say that we were going to end the group games without a defeat, I would say I wasn't expecting it. And I was just confident that they were just going to do something like I've always said in the previous episode, that going to any tournament, there will be surprise packages, and that they was just saying probably it's going to be us. So for me, it was more or less like going into that tournament with a dream to say, are we going to be the ones that are going to surprise everyone else and become the darling of almost the neutrals at the World Cup? But for me, I really commend the players for their outstanding performance, because getting into the Super 8 is something really tremendous. Yeah. And you look at it, number 8 in the world, like Steve said, it's something that is absolutely fantastic. Yes, people might have their reservations, the way that would have wanted things to go, but just being there and be counted among the top 8, it's something that's really good for me. And the takeaways from that, Brian Bennett, the way that he also performed, even Blessing Zarabani in the group stages, the way that he performed. There are a number of players that would come off that World Cup with something really huge in terms of memories, or even the thing that could have helped them improve in their games. And if you just follow what was happening on social media, and with the thing that are happening in the Middle East, and some flights being cancelled, and the Chevrons staying there a bit, and some people from Asia were saying the Chevrons should just come to our country and we get to play against them, because they were entertained in the World Cup, and they want to see more of the Chevrons. And I think for that, it's something that they need an applause for that performance. And if you were to restart the World Cup again, I don't think that everyone else would have thought we'd get to that position.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we say go Chevrons, go. Well done. A great job to them. And hopefully they will be able to fly back home. If not, we might see some international fixtures in Asia. Simba, thank you for sitting in the fans with us, enjoy spending some time with you. Guys, do not forget your predictions. Fanzone.co.zw is where you go and you fill in your predictions. If you have already signed up, remember you do not need to sign up again. Once the fixtures are released, you may just start predicting. Start this weekend, and do not forget, follow us on social media to stay up to date. But that's us from Fanzone. We'll see you guys in the next episode.